What's going on, YouTube? Zap here, and these are my final impressions about the Titanfall beta. These are essentially my updated thoughts. This is an update video because, as you all know, a few days ago I did download the beta. I've been playing it quite a bit ever since. I'm max rank, and right now at this point I'm just trying to unlock as much stuff as I can before the beta is pulled. So, yeah, these are my final thoughts on the beta, and today I want to just talk about some of the things that I feel are most important about this beta. First and foremost, I want to discuss the visuals. Now, a lot of people say that visuals are not very important. They're not the end-all, be-all of gaming, and they shouldn't be taken so seriously. Well, truth be told, visuals are quite important. If visuals weren't important, then we wouldn't be updating our consoles every 6, 7, 8 years to another one. So, yes, visuals do matter in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Titanfall is running at 720p on the Xbox One, to my knowledge. I heard rumors that it was 792p. I could be wrong, but 720p is what I know it's running at. And on the PC, you can switch it to 900p. Okay, running on 900p, it looks relatively clean. I won't lie and say that it looks horrible, but it does look relatively clean. But it's definitely no 1080p. And a lot of people are having gripes with the fact that this game, being on a next-gen console as well as on PC, is not running at 1080p. So why is that? Well, personally speaking, I couldn't tell you why it's not running at 1080p. I'm not a developer, and I don't really care why it's not running at 1080p. But I will say this. If this game ran at 1080p, I don't really think that it would have done this game too much justice. And the reason I say that is because this game lacks a lot of detail. What is the point of putting a game at 1080p that lacks so much detail? And what I mean by that is no real muzzle flash, no damage on environments, like not even bullet holes in walls, to be honest with you, and no explosion, impact damage on like the ground and stuff like that. It's just little details that are lacking that really throw me off with this game. And to be perfectly honest with you, running it at 1080p with no detail like that would look absolutely terrible. Terrible than it is already. So, yeah. And then on top of that, the environments for the maps that they released to us in the beta are... They definitely leave something to be desired. This map here, Angel City, it looks very metallic. It doesn't look like a map that was inhabited by humans at one point. It almost looks like I'm on fucking Cybertron because everything looks metallic. Everything looks like it's machine. The trees look like they're probably, they probably sprout, robonetic, tree sap or some shit like that. Like if I lived on this planet, like Optimus Prime will be tucking me in every night. That's how this game looks to me on this particular map. The other map just looks too flat. It looks too flat, looks too bland. It looks uninspired to me. That's just my opinion, though. So the visuals for this game are lacking in various aspects, not just in the overall resolution, but just in the overall presentation of the game. The maps are just... It kind of bugs me because by no means am I saying that you need to go all out Battlefield style where everything falls apart and you got debris falling on top of you and shit like that. But just a little bit of weapon detail, bullet holes, grenade explosion craters, things like that would have been nice, especially considering that you have these big, massive titans running around the stages, blowing each other up, shooting shit. It would have been nice to, be able to hear like some glass breaking, because none of these windows have glass on them, by the way. See like a billboard fall off the freaking building or something like that. Just give me a little bit of detail. Let me know that this is an actual living, breathing planet, a world that I'm living in. Just give me something. Next up, I want to talk about the actual gameplay. The movement is what I want to cover first. Obviously, this game has Call of Duty influences in it. You can see it. Everybody saw it from day one. With the character sprint animations, the death animations, all that good stuff reminded you of Call of Duty. And a lot of people are actually denying the fact that this game has COD seeds in it. This game definitely has Call of Duty seeds planted in it. You can't deny that. You obviously cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that this game has Call of Duty influences in it. For fuck's sake, it's made by guys who worked at Infinity Ward and worked on previous Call of Duty titles. So yes, the Call of Duty influences will be in this game. There's no running from that. But, however, that does not necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. In all my time playing Call of Duty games in the past, I've never heard one person complain about the movement in Call of Duty. No one's ever said that Call of Duty's movement felt clunky or anything like that. At the very worst, people have said that the game feels very arcadey and non-realistic when running, which is kind of true. But no one's ever said that it felt bad to move in Call of Duty. It didn't feel natural to move in Call of Duty. Call of Duty's movement for the first-person shooter genre is still being mocked and used as a reference for other games. You know, compare Battlefield's movement to Call of Duty's. You know, it's still trying to take things from Call of Duty and implement it into their own game. Even the biggest Call of Duty Battlefield fanboys can attest that the movement in Battlefield has changed over the years, and it's obviously due to the fact that it's in competition with Call of Duty. And the movement and the speed of which you move has changed drastically in the Battlefield franchise. Same thing with Killzone. Even Killzone's movement speed is changing. And it's changing for the better. Call of Duty's movement is good movement, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't have to be a direct copy and paste, but, you know, it does feel good. Now, on the other aspect of the movement, you know, you have the wall jumping and the jetpacks and the Titans. Moving in your Titan feels drastically different from moving on foot. You know, you actually feel like you're in a big hulking metal structure when you're inside of a Titan, and I love that. I love the contrast of being, you know, on foot to being inside of a Titan. I feel almost indestructible when I'm in a Titan, excuse me. But at the same time, I still kind of have this vulnerable state where, you know, there's these little people running around and they can hop on my back and do whatever the hell they want to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, being in a Titan does feel good, and it's a nice change up from being on foot. Now, the other aspect of that is actually using your jetpack, jumping. When I'm in my jetpack, or when I'm using my jetpack and I'm jumping from wall to wall, or I'm jumping side to side to avoid enemy gunfights, that's when I feel like I'm playing Quake or Unreal with Call of Duty base movements. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm in a Twitch arena shooter when I'm doing that and I'm strafe jumping and I'm, you know, avoiding enemy fire with, you know, strafe jumping. That feels good to me. It feels like home, kind of, because a lot of my ventures, very first ventures in the first-person shooter genre happened with Unreal Championship and Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 growing up. So movement in Titanfall feels great. I won't lie and tell you that the movement in Titanfall does not feel amazing, because the movement feels absolutely stellar. Now let's talk about other aspects of the gameplay, and one of them is the actual multiplayer. To be perfectly honest with you, I watched Cookie Monster's impressions of the beta, and I kind of agree with him. I wasn't really too big of a fan of attrition, which is the TDM, and I necessarily am not a fan of Last Titan Standing. Last Titan Standing is almost like a mix-up of Execution from Gears of War, essentially. But I'm not really too big of a fan of it. It just doesn't feel right, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel right for this game. For a game that's so built up on this type of action and all the other stuff, the suspense of, you know, who's going to be around the corner, everybody being in a Titan, just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel like I'm playing Titanfall at that point. It feels like I'm playing some other game embedded with Titanfall's mechanics, if that makes sense. So, yeah, definitely the best game mode in the beta is Hardpoint Domination. Hardpoint Domination is definitely the most fast-paced game mode, and you bump into enemy players quite frequently because there's objectives that everybody is trying to get to. So you know you're going to go to an objective and you're going to bump into an enemy player. However, being able to bump into these enemy players more frequently does not mask the fact that you are surrounded by idiotic bots at every turn. Now, these bots have been the bane of Titanfall's existence since the announcement. Okay? These bots serve absolutely no purpose other than to help, players that aren't obviously as good as other players obtain the kills necessary to get the Titan. That's all it is. That's all it'll ever be. Some people try to justify it saying that, oh, the bots serve a strategic purpose. They're there to capture objectives and do all this other stuff for you. No, they're not. They are there to help other people get the Titan. And that's all there is to it. And one of the YouTube users that subscribed to me, I guess he subscribed to me, I don't know. He left a comment on one of my Titanfall videos basically saying that he feels as though there should have been a separate playlist for people who are rank 1 to 10 who play with bots, and then a separate playlist for people who don't want to play with bots, who are of a higher skill base and don't need bots to get Titans. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with that. I think that the idea of lower ranks playing in a playlist with bots and having a separate playlist for players who don't want to play with bots is a good idea. I think after you reach level 10, you should be in a playlist where, it's like 10v10, no bots, or 12v12, no bots, and that'll be fine. I think Titanfall would have been perfect 10v10 or 12v12. I think that would have been perfect and ideal for this game. But look at this. I'm just running around slaughtering bots. I'm slaying bots. I don't get any real enjoyment out of that. Look at this guy trying to Chuck Norris me. Get out of here, scumbag. But the bots are so stupid. But I think that what they're trying to target is the casual gamer. The reason for it, the reason for the bots, the reason for, wanting to make sure that, newer players, casual players are perfectly squared away in this is because they're trying to market the casuals. They want to try and reach out to that audience who might not be the best at shooting games, who may have a hard time playing games like Battlefield or Call of Duty and Killzone, and they just want a game that they can pick up, play, and feel like they're doing really, really well at. So I can definitely see their reasoning for that. But for a gamer like me who wants to have a little bit more fun actually playing with people and not getting more kills against bots than actual people, Titanfall is definitely going to be one of those games that you just kind of like look at sideways. So overall, I will be perfectly honest with you and say that I do get enjoyment when I'm playing Titanfall. However, that enjoyment is very short-lived, and I can definitely see this game being forgotten. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. See you later. Peace.